Hello everyone, I'm going to be talking about Mansfield Park today to try to hurry up and continue with Austin in August before August is actually over, but who knows if I'll actually be able to finish in time. I just want to give a quick message before I start though. I'm sorry if I seem a little bit down in the dumps today, maybe not my usual self. I'm really stressed out by a lot of things going on in my life, but mostly I'm really worried about a friend of mine, someone who's very close to me. It's just not in a good place right now, and I'm really worried about him, and it's starting to affect my mood dramatically. Trying not to let it do that, however, and I almost was gonna not do this video, but first of all, August is almost over and I really need to move on. Second, I think it's only gonna help me, if anything, to complain, because I have a lot of complaining to do in this video, and I love to complain about things, so that should help me out a little bit. I just want to apologize if I seem to be down in the dumps, because I am, but I'm gonna try not to let it show. So today we're going to be talking about Mansfield Park, and once again, I do not have the book with me. Oh my god, the sun is really bright right now. Hopefully that's better. Yeah, so once again, I forgot to bring the book, but we'll go with it. So, Mansfield Park, the book. This is, if I had to say, is probably Jane Austen's least popular novel. It's actually pretty low on my list. If I had to rank her books, it'd be pretty low for me too, but I do like the book. Yeah, so it is probably her least popular. A lot of people find it kind of boring. It's definitely more serious than most of her books. Not as much of the comedy there. They find the romance lacking because the romance really isn't a focus in this. And most of all, people seem to hate Fanny Price, the heroine. People say that Fanny is insipid. I think this has been going on actually since the book came out, so it's not even a modern idea. That she's a prig is some words that I've heard. You know, boring, all that kind of thing. And mostly the people like the Crawfords, who are supposed to be kind of like the bad people in this. People like Henry and Mary Crawford, and they want Fanny to accept Henry Crawford. I do really like this book. Not in comparison to some of Austen's other books, because it's got a little bit of, it's not as much of a light tone, it's more serious, and I do wish there was a little bit more romance, but I guess that was not what Austen wanted to focus on, so I'm okay with it. But mainly, I have to get straight out and say this, I am a huge fan of Fanny Price, and I greatly admire her as a person and as a character. Fanny, especially in the beginning of the book, is kind of portrayed as weak and timid, shy and quiet. So people don't like her that much. They prefer, the livelier, more outspoken heroines like Elizabeth Bennet, which just give an example. And people have so much of a problem with Fanny that it's made it hard for filmmakers to adapt this novel correctly because of all of the issues people have with it. People are afraid, I think, to show Fanny how she really is because they don't think that audiences will respond well to her. But Fanny, I do not think is insipid. Fanny Price has a backbone of steel. Despite being, you have to look at her circumstances. She comes from a poor family, one of 10 children, and their parents just couldn't keep track of them all. She's taken away from her family at a really young age, and then she spent the last pretty much half her life being constantly bullied and trodden down upon by her aunt, Mrs. Norris. So she really has no reason to be self-confident or outspoken or anything like that. She's desperately in love with her cousin, who is in love with someone else and has never seen her as anything more than a sister. But despite all of that, she is a very perceptive person and is able to see people for what they truly are. For example, the Crawfords, who are outwardly charming people, but she can see their inner selfishness, especially, and ugliness. Sorry for people who like the Crawfords out there. And she knows that she and Henry Crawford will not be a good couple, and she does not want to marry him, despite everyone in her family encouraging her to do so and saying that yes, she should accept him, including Edmund, her cousin, who she loves. Edmund is also another moral character. He wants to become a clergyman, but even he is fooled by the Crawfords. Fanny is the only one to see them for who they really are until the end, when everyone else's eyes are open, and she knows that Henry's a rake and he's just going to be unfaithful to her after a little while. She does not have the illusion that she can reform a rake. And I think that why I really admire Fanny is because of how much of a timid, quiet person she is. I think it takes a lot more guts and backbone for her to stand up for her morals and go against what everybody wants for her than it would for someone, say Elizabeth Bennet refused Mr. Collins. I think this is a much bigger deal for Fanny Price to do this than Elizabeth. So that is why my personal defense, I don't want to make this just a long video about me defending Fanny because I gotta talk about the adaptations, but that's why I feel that Fanny Price is an admirable, strong character, and I love Fanny, and I'm sorry, I know most people watching this probably do not, but that's okay. I do feel that the book, what I said, is not my favorite Jane Austen, but I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I do like it a lot. Okay, so talking about the adaptations, there are only 3, at least only 3 that are available on DVD. First one is from 1983, and it is a BBC miniseries. I have to say this, if you want a faithful adaptation, one that stays true to the book, to the narrators, to the characters as Jane Austen wrote them, this is really going to be your only option, is this miniseries. It's from 1983, and it stars Nicholas Farrell as Edmund Bertram and Sylvester Letouzel as Fanny Price, and some other people too. Bernard Hepton is Sir Thomas, and Anna Massey is Mrs. Norris. Samantha Bond plays Maria Bertram, but I don't know who anyone else in the cast is. I don't recognize them from anything. So yeah, the positives is this is a faithful adaptation of the book. The characters are true to their book selves. The narrative follows the book. Mrs. Norris, Anna Massey, is a wonderful Mrs. Norris. She's really, really great in the role. Most of the acting was pretty good. Other than Mrs. Norris, there was nothing that really stood out as stellar, incredible to me. But it's all pretty good. The bad about it is, again, it's from 1983, and as usual with all of those older TV productions, the budget in production values are not great. It's stagey. It's got some bizarre hairstyles. Henry and Mary Crawford have a matching black curly wig. It looks like that's kind of weird. And there's also Mr. Yates in this. I have never seen anything like it. And there's actually, I have a screen cap of it on my blog. If you want to click the link down there, I won't forget to put it in. The other bad part about this is Sylvester Letouzel as Fanny. While the writing for her character was true to the book Fanny, I'm sorry, she just couldn't act very well. The way she delivered her lines, it was clear, to me, it didn't look like she really had any experience with acting and didn't really know what she was doing. And sadly, she's the main character, so as happy as I was to see the writing true to her character, the acting was not very good. But yeah, I do recommend this version, especially to purist fans. They're sure to be happy with it. I give it a 4 out of 5. The next version of Mansfield Park is, I'm almost afraid to do this, 1999 movie. This was written and directed by Patricia Rozema, a woman who hated the book, hated the character of Fanny Price, and apparently, I don't know why she thought this would be a good idea to make a movie out of it, something that she doesn't like, but I guess she felt that she could improve upon Jane Austen's story and characters, and probably also wanted to cash in on all of the Austen mania that was happening in the late 90s. But I hate this movie. I'm sorry. It is not Mansfield Park in any way other than in name. I don't really care for it, even just as a movie itself at all. The cinematography is just really bizarre. It's got a lot of blurry slow motion shots and music and overly dramatized things that just I feel like are silly and don't move me in any way other than anger, because so much has changed from the book. I am not a book purist. I have to say that I don't mind changes as long as they are kept in the spirit of the novel. It's not even recognizable as Mansfield Park other than the characters' names. She chose to focus on slavery in this for some reason. Kind of confused about that. The characters are not the book characters. It is sexed up beyond belief, and it's added like incestuous undertones and lesbian undertones for some reason. I'm still confused about. To the individual performances, the Frances O'Connor plays Fanny Price, and she is not Fanny Price. The character was changed, so she's like a combination. She's written as a combination of like an Elizabeth Bennet type character, where she's really outspoken and strong and independent-minded and all that kind of thing, and the cross between Lizzie Bennet and Jane Austen herself, because Fanny is a writer in this, and she's shown like she writes and narrates things to her sister, which are Jane Austen's juvenilia, things that Jane Austen wrote, and she does something in this that was used to mirror something that Jane Austen did in her life, and no. Henry himself is made way too sympathetic in this. I actually would prefer him and Fanny to get together. I think they'd be a much better couple than her and Edmund in this, because Edmund is actually kept close to his book self. He's played by Johnny Lee Miller, who I love in like practically everything that I've seen him in, but although he's true to the book, it doesn't match because the other characters weren't. Fanny is not, and then Mary Crawford, the writing was okay for her, but both she and Fanny are too old, and Edmund is the right age for his character, so he looks like a baby standing next to them. He also looks like he's wearing lipstick. Sorry, Johnny Lee Miller, but I don't know what was going on with that look. And so it was sexed up. There's a sex scene in it. I can't even do this. I know I'm spoiling the movie for everyone, but I hate this movie. I know a lot of people actually do like it. I can't stand it. The last time that I tried to watch it, I couldn't even make it all the way through. I had to like skip through parts. It has a couple decent things in it, but it's not enough to save it. I give it a 1 out of 5. Not quite a 0, but I don't like it. I'm sorry. The last adaptation of Mansfield Park was one that I was highly looking forward to. It was 2007 ITV movie. Not a miniseries, just a TV movie. I had high hopes for this until I found out that Billie Piper was cast as Fanny. I knew that it wasn't going to be good. So this movie, what can I say about it? It's better than 1999. That's about it. It was just totally blah. It's like they didn't even care. There were a couple good actors in it. For example, Haley Atwell played Mary Crawford, and she was a standout. Really good in the role of Mary Crawford. But Blake Ritson as Edmund was not bad, despite having this weird emo hairstyle. Other than that, it was just, nothing was good. Billie Piper played Fanny. Is terrible. Not Fanny Price at all. The look was not Fanny. She looked more like a prostitute. I'm sorry to say, that's what I feel like. It sounds so evil of me to say, but that's what I think. Other than that, it was really inconsistent. The characters, for example, Fanny. It was like at some points they made her like the book Fanny, where she's really quiet and observant of everyone. Then all of a sudden she's running around, jumping and laughing, and again made into like an Elizabeth Bennet type character. It was like they kind of wanted to show the true Fanny, but they were afraid, so they kept changing it because they didn't think that audiences would like it. Lady Bertram was also really inconsistent. At some points she would be, token scene of her dozing on the couch like she does in the book, but then she'd be like really alert and aware of everyone, and like actually playing matchmaker in this, which is not anything that Lady Bertram would do or care about. The thing about this is like their hearts weren't in it. There was practically no budget to speak of. There's like the scenes are in like 2 rooms at Mansfield Park and out on the lawn. That's it. There's none of the trips. There's no trip to Southerton, no trip to Portsmouth, nothing. It's like they couldn't afford it. Let's go in these couple rooms, and let's go out on the lawn. That was about. The script was dull. It was just all dull. It was like they didn't even care about what movie they were making. Not as bad as 1999. It's slightly more faithful, but it's just not a great movie, and I give it a 2.5 out of 5. So, all in all, I have not been very satisfied with adaptations of Mansfield Park. I'm still waiting to get a full-length, a good miniseries that is actually true to the book and that has good production values. I don't know if and when that's ever going to happen. Maybe we'll have another, like, Austin Mania happening in another couple years. We'll see. But, that's it for now. I'll see you guys next time.